Good morning, colleagues. Next topic is the real situation in Mariupol and local authorities, economics and volunteer movement, social moves. And I invite an activist from Mariupol, a representative of New Mariupol, Iryna Perkova. Good morning. I would like information about a military situation about the city that is provided by military people. I would like to speak about the situation in the city and to tell you about the prehistory of defense of the city and what is happening with people, with authorities, with public servants, because it seems to me, because I'm a member of a New Mariupol organization, but volunteer movement started in the summer when the city different units started to defend the city and volunteers, and we communicated. Now we are in different NGOs, and everybody is trying to do its job, but we know each other, we communicate. That's why I can say that I am objective, and I can say that I express an opinion of active pro-Ukrainian majority of the city. So in the city, it became hard in the end of August. That was Ilovaisk, that and they started to bring the wounded because it was the closest city where we had more or less good hospitals and doctors. And in the end of August, the Russians occupied Novozovsk, and they came closer than 20 kilometers to the city. They occupied Bezimena. On the 28th or 29th of August, there was the first city meeting of our authorities on defense of the city. Among activists, I was president. There was the Mr. President, the main policeman. There was a mayor, main military commissar. There were assistants of the governor, of Mr. Taruta, and we could observe they were completely passive. They were not ready, and they didn't want to defend the city. They didn't want to do anything for the defense. There were people from Azov battalion when the deputy commander told that we need fortifications, good fortifications, because there is no contact battle and everything is defended by artillery, and then they would take it. They told that the question is when they take the city. That was on Friday, and when deputy commander was told that we need equipment for better fortifications, the man told then we'll get together on Monday, we'll discuss it, and we'll discuss it. So when Russians were 20 kilometers out of the city, the situation was changing all the time, and but active pro-Ukrainian majority changed it when they called, and at 10 o'clock in the morning we invited people to the square just to show that the city is Ukrainian, because when they heard that there is no the question whether they will occupy city when, whether they will no question whether they will take or not. We decided that they would not we would not allow Russian propaganda to say that citizens of Novorossiya would be liberated from fascists. There was a pressure on the mayor for him to put flags around the city, Ukrainian flags. He didn't have that idea. Then there was a pressure on the city authorities to provide equipment. But next day, before they gave equipment, activists again in social networks and not political parties will bring out people as NGOs who are not that strong, and they are not that strong to bring people out. That was a request in social networks. People went to the first line to defend of defense with spades, and we went to construction stores to buy spades, and then we went to buy food to feed people. And only after that, the city clerks and mayor and governor, they saw that okay, people are not going to give up, and that it will be quite for them. It was they will not be able to say that we were not able to say because people were ready to defend. At our request, we had a lot of empty bottles. We had a lot of petrol, and with oil, we decided if they take the city, they will take it with big losses. We would do everything possible not to give up easy. In such a the city authorities, they showed that they were not willing to defend the city. I don't say that in May, when there were DNR bandits in the city, the mayor and main people in power, and directors of universities and factories, they signed a memorandum of cooperation with DNR, and there was a request to central authorities in Kiev to pull out National Guards from the city, take out and to leave the city without the defense. And that was signed by our mayor, all the top officials, the directors of factories. Here, I would like to give you more details, and I would like to describe our city. In our city, we have two big enterprises, and 10% of people work on there. 10% of people work there, but all of them they have families, and they depend on the work of those factories. They belong, both factories, to Metinvest of Iryna Perkova. 3 TV channels belong to Iryna Perkova, so that person has influence. Now there is, they don't call to support the service, but they have. They can put information the way they want, and now they PR fund of humanitarian fund of Iryna Perkova, and on those factories since January, the working week is 4 days was reduced, and some people sent it for vacations, unpaid vacations. They so kick out people from factories, and the people are not happy. And now there is a focused. They direct unhappiness of people. They direct it against Ukraine, not against the owner of the factory, and not against people who should provide that. Because for many years, and I can say that because my my relatives are working at those factories. They did not invest the money into those enterprises. They were not updated, and so they did not invest into development. And now, of course, it's very difficult for those factories to work. It's very difficult to get orders, to get contracts, and people. So the main story is because of the war. It's because of Maidan. Maidan brought this far. Ukraine is it's the fault of Ukraine, and we have Azovmash, quite known factory, because and Iryna Perkova, who's wanted, so his a lot of shares belong to him, and there are people, pro-Russian people, and who took all new equipment to Russia, and all. Iryna Perkova's sons, he owns the company which is working on scrap, and people are not paid for half a year on that at that factory. Now 4,000 people are working. Many of them, they have not received their salary. They are not happy because of pro-Russian mood of managers. I know some. If my dismissed and the work and the factory is closed, I will take the gun and I will kill Ukrainians. So the business is closed, or they close cafeterias, and the economic situation in the city is not simple. It's not easy. City authorities. That's a conglomerate. Our mayor is an old Communist Party member, and he was always in the top management of the city. He was under all political forces, political forces he earned. He knows schemes, and not always. We have evidence. Even now, when we have changes in the country, they don't allow us access to information they should provide. And they say, we just not send the request, and they say, oh yes, according to such and such, So not always the informants, but corruption schemes work in utilities and advertisement, business, and transportation. Transportation belongs to the city, but it's dead. It's commercial buses, and but they are not working. So with activists, we consider that drop the budget and for 2015, and many articles are interesting for us. Activists from different NGOs are united. We will try to get rid of the secretary of the city council. He's the man who was sending titushkas to Maidan, flags to Maidan. He's the one who many times he can be suspected in many things, and prosecution could start cases against him. But it is not done. There are no change. There is no changes in the city. The situation is interesting because neither Russian pro-Russian and neither pro-Ukrainian forces love the authorities. Nothing is changed. The pro-Ukrainian activists continue fighting, not against, and they help. We help the militarymen and also IDPs and orphans and pro-Russian population. They just say nothing is happening. Maidan has not achieved anything. You just what you achieved is the war, and contacts with Russia disappeared because Akhmetov's enterprises they were connected to Russia. As to Azovmash, that's the enterprise of the defense, the industry, and they can repair equipment, and they can. An organization in Mariupol, we sent a letter to the cabinet of ministers last fall to the president, and we described the situation with enterprises, what it can lead to, and how the mood is heated by that. If people have no food and no money, they are trying to find someone to blame. And we have mass media of Renata Akhmetov, and city council belongs to Akhmetov, is under control of Akhmetov. Work together with the mayor, with all local authorities. So all that anger is channeled against Ukraine. But not against those people who commit those frauds or who are wrong. And we asked Azomash and maybe Minister of Defense, so they say we can give orders, so well, let's consider that. And the enterprise told, we cannot work on those orders. So somebody is beneficial to someone. So this is partially it's that belongs that enterprise belongs to the state, and as a group of companies managing companies, and they don't have shares. They're just managing companies. But anyway, the part of the state is there, and if to work on that, there could be state administration on the enterprise, and they can bring anti-crisis manager, and it can be done something for the enterprise to work and for people to be paid and to improve their life and to see that something is changing in our country. So this is the situation in the city. We would like, once again, I speak not only on behalf of my organization, but on behalf of many organizations, and we ask assistance from national government, from general prosecution, from Nalivaychenko, from cabinet of ministers, because the same bad situation is in education. That's the budget. People, the pro-Russian separatist and mentality and education, it's very bad. When I saw activities for patriotic education for 2015 on the website in the education, I found celebration of February 23. There was a meeting with Afghan vets, and they were telling what it means to defend the country. So very doubtful things. And the head of the city education department, Mrs. Dmitrieva, she's the person of her family is involved in corruption. The husband, after she became many years ago, when she got that position, he had a very good position in land resources department, and there are corruption schemes and repairing kindergartens, schools, and those are contracts to supply food to kindergartens. I have a lot of people I know among teachers in kindergartens and also among directors of kindergartens, and parents bring money and they cannot survive with that, but money from the state and certain companies win contracts, and they pay 3 times more for tomatoes, for example. So, District Vostochny, which was shelled on that day, mayor has not arrived. He understood that the night was quiet, and then he came to the district. No volunteers were there half an hour after the shelling was stopped. We have 2 schools there, and they look at Rostov Highway. Those schools that suffered, and schools are working on the security system and alarm and how to evacuate kids. It was the scheme. And that was to show off, because during the last 2 days there were battles for the outside of the city near Shirokino. I live there. My parents live there. On the 24th. Is so
now ten about syringes or whatever else, but the question arises: what's then what they are doing in the healthcare department? Are they competent? Do they really want to do what do they have to do? Do they understand their responsibility living at the front line? Much which is being done in the city is done by the, let's say, those who are not indifferent. We try to exert pressure on the officials and the clerks in the city, sometimes provide this defense, not owing to, but despite some the actions on the part of those officials. We know in our indifferent persons, our community, if the situation turns out to be critical, then those people, the city officials, in the best case, they will just do nothing. In the worst case, they will just surrender or let the city to the enemy. That's why we are seeking the help and assistance on the part of the central authority. Unfortunately, the southeastern region of Ukraine for many years has been a kind of feudal territory of the Donetsk family, Yanukovych and his family, let's say. The mass media is under control. The deputies of the Verkhovna Rada are controlled by somebody. They pass decisions which are required by somebody else. This is kind of the concentration of the corruption forces of different businesses working on the beneficial terms and conditions when they actually sell or let's say they allocate a lot the plots of land free of charge, and they give the possibility to let's say to take all the billboards and other ads in the city. And this is one of the reasons why the opposition bloc managed to be elected to the Verkhovna Rada, like Samuel Twinkov, who is for peace, and they said that we just lost the Crimea, we just were going along the road and just lost this Crimea, So unfortunately we're not sure, and we had some democratic volunteers who actually decided to run for the deputies in Verkhovna Rada, but we did not have enough money, and most of the cases we had those names in the Facebook, and of course they couldn't win because they could not actually. There was an unequal, let's say, struggle with some powers that be. For example, we remember that Mr. Zvigilsky collected 1,500 votes, and our Petros volunteer 4,500. And again, this kind of election campaign was through the internet network provided by the people who were surrounding that person, and we were not sure that the next elections in the fall of this year will be won by us, and whatever can be changed in our city. We do badly need the assistance of the central authorities part. Our question is, the picture which you depicted here, do I understand you properly that is compared to the summertime when we had a serious threat to lose the city, when they purchased the spades and the trenches were dug only by the people on the street, and the sources didn't do anything. And now nothing, the situation hasn't changed, and again the defense or the preparation for some kind of critical events is being tackled only by volunteers and the pro-Ukrainian community, as they call it. Volunteers and the servicemen and the military men. Fortunately enough, after the pro-Ukrainian community in August actually proved that they were not ready to surrender the city, in August, what kind of pro-Ukrainian meetings we had in July, and the volunteers started to give their support from the very beginning. When we had the representatives of National Guards near the city, then the volunteers, being, with the threats to their lives, were just trying to carry out whatever they could. I remember our Ukrainian actions when the militia, you have to understand the militia, were actually guarding the pro-Russian meetings, and the militiamen were just filming us using the cameras, and nobody knows why. They were coming close to us and just filmed on their cameras. I don't know why. And in August, when we came to realize that the situation was critical enough, and we understood if the DPR will be in the city, we had to resort to the basements. We understood that the jeopardy of that, the threat of that, and volunteers and all the activists tried to take away, evacuate the children and the women from the city, and the males remained there. And when President visited us in September last year, the central authorities, the Minister of Defense, did not believe that the people were not prepared to surrender the city, and they started to provide the fortifications. Now we have the Minister of Defense units in the National Guards, and using their support, we try to exert pressure on our municipal authorities to do something. But again, we have not to forget about the corruption. What is positive? That the militia is subject to changes now, and some people come to the militia officials, top militia officials, those who were involved in the front line or were fighting, who volunteered to some of the battalions, and we communicated with them. Those are really honest and integral persons, and they say we are not going to surrender, we are going to help, etc., etc. What steps do you expect from the central authorities to support the Ukrainian forces in Mariupol? We wish very much that Mr. Nelvachenko paid attention to our city. By the way, very interesting moment. The manager of the SBU in our region, the city council, they provided him with some apartment. And the day before the shelling on 24th, they actually published the project on city council to take away this apartment from the communal stock of the city and to give the special permit to the head of the SBU of the region as his own apartment. As one said that the folks cannot drench the swamp, So our officials try to make friends with the SBU people, with militia, as though I mentioned that some normal people come to work there, but we would like the cabinet ministers to pay attention to their profile, their subordinate organizations which report to those. And the education is very important. We are losing a lot in the schools, in the let's say vocational schools, and even in the universities. There are a lot of pro-Russian professors. Again, there are some cases when the pro-Ukrainian teachers in different schools, secondary schools, vocational schools, technical schools, and when they say that only 4 pro-Ukrainian professors among all the pro-Russian ones, and when the projector said, it's not clear who the city is going to belong tomorrow, to pro-Russian or Ukraine. They actually removed the flag from the building. I called them and I asked, do you want me to come down to you and just to ask you a question, why you did that? They say, why are you doing that? So, okay, 1 hour later they actually put the flag back. But under such conditions, the frontline city cannot live normally under those terms and conditions or circumstances. That's why, speaking about Mr. Nalivaychenko or Senyavakov as well, but militia, we are blessed, that the local militiamen, they're changed now. They changed now, and they who know themselves what does it mean the right Russian aggression of Russian forces. So this is the story. Okay, if there are no more questions, there is a question. Okay. The public Donbass area. In Mariupol, we have kind of a flea market now. The street markets, they try to sell whatever they can. Can you comment why this is happening now? It's let's say the usual thing. I'm talking about the street markets, around the markets, just on the roads, maybe just in one side of the city. Well, I don't know. And this happens only one side in the downtown. There's a street, a kind of elongation of the central market. They were kind of flea market people. That was the usual thing. Has been the usual thing, but maybe now, let's say, they extended the area occupied by this kind of the street market. But generally speaking, as you know, the people are being empowered, and maybe you were not here when I told you about the situation when some of the enterprises tried to provide food to the family of their workers, and they have the 4-day working weeks in the Lich or Azovstal, and they are just trying to ask people to go on the unpaid vacations, whatever. So everybody tries to survive whatever the way they can. But the flea market was there always. Thank you very much. We have to stop the briefing. We'll be waiting for you with the new information.